Hello everyone. Today's class is going to be all about balancing. Realizing more and more that pretty much everything in life is about trial and error. There's quite often no right or wrong answer. And when we feel anxious about making the right decision, then, we just give it a try. And through this process of trial and error, we learn what's good for us and we learn how to fine tune. So today's class is just about trying things and see how your body works through those challenges. So let's start in tree pose. Right away, I'm going to get off of my mat. Your tree pose can be with your toes down on the ground, can be on your shin. I know we're not warm yet, and this is just for us to see, how does my tree pose feel today? How wobbly do I feel? How strong do I feel? Is there a sense of difference between left and right? You can rate your tree pose from 0 being I can't stand here at all to 10 feeling super rock solid. And then you can try the other side just at the beginning of the class so you feel, how does my balance feel today? You can bring your hands anywhere you like, just to see. And if you need a wall, if you need to modify, go ahead. Right. And just to keep that in mind, how your tree pose felt at the beginning of the class. And then we'll get moving and see how it feels like later. Let's start in the opposite of a balancing pose, which is child's pose. Probably one of the most grounded postures we can be in. Find the variation that works for you. If your hips a little higher, not a problem. If you need the knees wider, closer together, also perfectly your choice. Just to drop everything. Sometimes there's a anticipation to balance or perform certain postures. So just imprinting the softness and the sense of groundedness, the solidity into your body, so that we can start to mimic that within our postures that require more balance. At the same time, always remembering that balancing is a dynamic process. It's not static. There's always some give and take. And as long as we're not afraid to wave with the challenges, then we can keep our balance. Go ahead, take one more deep breath in. And a breath out. Good, and slowly come on to hands and knees. I'm going to move the blocks aside. And you can start to wave the spine just to warm it up. You can inhale round. Then exhale back. If you need something underneath your knees, go ahead. Place a blanket underneath the knees. You can also just double up your mat on that spot. Inviting a little bit more breath, some freshness into your body, moving with the spine. I like to breathe in when I come forward and exhale when I go back, but maybe there's a different breathing pattern that starts to happen in your body. Okay. And then we'll come into a first little balancing posture, which is bird dog. You can kick your right foot back, press the floor away from you to start to awaken the front of the body, and then you can lift your heel up. And we're going to do this quite a bit today, so just take a moment, making sure the toes are pointing down. So quite often the hip hikes up, and it's not a bad thing. It's just for what we want to do later today. We also want to imprint this square position of the hips. You can come onto your fingertips or extend your left fingertips forward. Okay, and just feeling that there is some wobbliness, even if you feel relatively good. Good. Spreading the fingers of the right hand to have a little bit more surface. Wonderful. And then you can release your left hand onto the floor. I'm going to turn my back on you for a moment. Right foot grounds fully, left knee pivots, and we're here in a variation of side plank. You can start to circle the arm, just so we can give some more space through the shoulders. Maybe like to inhale, reach up and back. Exhale, back down. like to cactus the arm to really squeeze the shoulder blades, you can do that. Wonderful. And then you can reach the right fingertips up and over. You can either stay here or maybe lift the knee. Think about lifting the bottom knee, or maybe actually lifting it up, and then you're in a side plank variation, which is also a balancing posture. Maybe you feel a little bit wobbly here, also perfectly fine. Squeezing the thighs towards one another if possible. Inhale. And then exhale, release the knee, both hands onto the floor. Good. Let's move from some cat and cow. Inhale, lift the heart. And exhale to round the back. You can always shift the weight back for a moment if you need to relieve the wrists. Inhale, lift the heart. And exhale, round. One more, inhale. And exhale, round. Great. Other side, same sequence, starting with bird dog. So I'm going to kick my left foot back, press the earth away. So my belly button starts to scoop up towards the spine, and then lifting the heel. Again, if you have a tendency to let the hip open up, see if you can turn the left inner thigh up, and that's going to help you to find a position that you can imprint into the body so you have easier time balancing later on. Good. So I'm going to come under my right fingertips. And then extend the right arm forward. You can also do same side. That's a little bit trickier. There's probably some wobbliness. So you can always notice maybe left side, right side are going to feel different. Great. And then slowly releasing the right hand down. Left foot grounds, pivoting on the right knee, opening up into a variation of side plank, half moon, depending on how you want to see it. And then you can start to circle the top arm, inviting some more space into the shoulder. I like to allow my spine to move a little bit with it so it feels more organic. Good. And the next time the left arm is reaching up and over, staying there for a moment. My left foot is already grounding. My right hand is grounding. You can think about lifting the right knee or maybe actually lifting it up. Variation of side plank, can squeeze the knees in, and then maybe you feel a little bit wobbly here, just perfectly normal. Keep pressing the earth away. Take another breath in, and then exhale, knee comes down, both hands onto the floor. Let's take a deep breath in, inhale, and exhale one more time, rounding the back. Two more, inhale, and exhale, round. Last one, inhale, and then this time you can tuck the toes under and lift up and back into a downward facing dog. Good, make yourself nice and long here. Great. And first down dog, you can always keep your knees bent, move through your dog. Maybe you want to release through the head. Then wave the spine forward to a plank. Inhale up onto the tippy toes, forward to plank. Remember that you can always lower the knees. You can come back into what we did at the beginning of the class, waving forward onto all fours. And back into a more active child's pose, or alternating between plank and a downward facing dog. Good. Next time you're forward in plank, inhale. Good. And as you exhale, let's lower all the way onto our bellies. Just warming up a little bit through the spine. Variation of cobra, hands underneath the shoulders or a little bit further forward. Elbows can stay down for a moment so we can really activate the upper back. Pressing all 10 toes into the floor, and then almost like you're dragging your fingertips back to reach the heart forward. Good. Keeping your tailbone reaching away. So finding the balance between the left and the right side, you might notice the right side being a little bit stronger than the other. Good. Nice. And then from here, after you've dragged the hands back, press the hands into the floor to maybe come up into a little bit of a cobra. It doesn't have to be high. Take another breath in. And exhale to lower. Good. Pressing back to your downward facing dog. And let's just walk the feet forward into a forward fold. Take as many steps as you need. The blocks are there in case you need them. Knees can be soft. Feeling into the backs of the legs. Letting the head hang. Good. Wonderful. And then we're going to inhale, halfway lift. You can always bring the hands onto blocks or hands onto shins. And as you exhale, folding forward. Good. We're going to come up towards standing and see if the right side and the left side of the body can come up at the same rate. Inhale, come up. And as you exhale, back down. Inhale, coming back up, arms out to the side. Maybe there's one arm that wants to reach up a little faster. And exhale, back down. Maybe there's a twist in the hips. Inhale, pressing equally into the floor. Exhale, back down. We're going to go one last round. We're going to stay up. Inhale, coming up, using the back muscles. And exhale, hands to heart. Good. We're just going to balance here with our eyes closed. So I'm going to start with feet hip width distance apart. And then when you close your eyes, depending on how you're feeling today, you might feel pretty solid. Good. Just noticing the weight maybe shifting a little bit between front and back, side to side. But you might still feel like you can handle these movements. Right. If that's the case, you can bring your feet together. Oops. Speaking of balance. And then close your eyes again and notice there's a difference in sensation, sense of solidity. You might feel that now there's a little bit more, like you're on a ship and your body is moving to balance this. But you might still feel okay. As always, if you feel wobbly, you can just open your eyes or step one step to the side. So not a big dish, no biggie here. Good. If you still feel solid, you can step one foot in front of the other. And here you might already feel slightly more wobbly. And if you feel okay to close your eyes for a moment, you can close your eyes. And then I notice immediately, so the back leg is going to be the standing leg, that one has to work a whole lot more. So my ankle, my feet are really working hard. You can bring the arms out to the side, like you're walking on a tightrope. Good. And again, if you feel wobbly, if you feel you need to take a step to the side, go ahead. Let's switch sides. So this time, my other foot is going to be in the back. Once I found my place here, I can close my eyes. And then notice this side compared to the first side feels more solid for me. Might be the opposite way for you. Maybe it's super easy. Maybe you didn't even come into this position because you were already happy balancing on the feet together next to one another. Good. And then you can open your eyes. And we're just going to move through one sun salutation with the sense that we want to move left and right side in an equal way. Most of the time, one hip wants to move up, one other wants to move down. It's not a perfect science, but that's just our intention. So you can bring your hands together in front of the heart if you want to. Take a deep breath in and a breath out. Good. Inhale, reaching the arms up. And as you exhale, arms moving out and down in the same way, hands ground. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, hands ground. If you normally step one foot after another, you can, or maybe both at the same time, just so we can stay nice and balanced. Coming forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga, or lowering both knees at the same time, chest and chin. Inhale, gliding through. Both toes, all 5 of them pressing into the floor, shoulders rolling back. Exhale, equally pressing into the hands to move back into your downward facing dog. Good, and I always have, for example, the right foot that steps forward to correct the stance. And today I'm going to try with the left foot, see how that feels. Good. And then finding length through both armpits. Now, most of us, we have one shoulder that's a little bit tighter than the other. See if you can lengthen both equally. Take another breath in. And as you exhale, you can bend the knees. Maybe hopping. You can, of course, step just to get a sense that both feet are landing at the same time. Lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, pressing into the feet, both arms at the same time, reaching out and up. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to go through one modified sun salutation B, which is sometimes a challenge for the balance coming up into warrior one. So see if you can find solidity there. So we're going to move, inhale through chair pose, bending the knees. Again, weight in both feet. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, moving through your vinyasa if you like. I forgot to top. Moving through your vinyasa, both sides of the body equally broad and bright. Exhale, downward facing dog. I'm going to ground my left foot. Inhale, step my right foot back. Keeping the balance as I come up, inhale. Exhale, right away back down. Lowering, inhale to open the heart. Exhale to bow, downward facing dog. I'm going to ground my right heel. Inhale, step my left foot forward. One fell swoop going up. And exhale, one fell swoop going down. I felt some wiggles as I went up and down. Inhale, open. And exhale, back to downward facing dog. Good. And finding stability here. And there are these small things that we do in a vinyasa practice that can help us to tune into our balance a little bit more. Okay. Let's take another deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Okay, let's lift the right leg. And again, today, pointing the toes down, just so we have an imprint. The hips are up. It's just, it's hard to measure a degree in a sense of stability for the body. So pointing the toes down. Good. And then I'm going to come up onto my left fingertips. You can stay here, or maybe see if you can balance here with the left arm reaching forward, right toes pointing down. If it feels wobbly, normal. And you can always come back into bird dog onto hands and knees. Repeat the same thing. I'm going to ground my left hand, right foot steps between, warrior two when you're ready. Windmilling the arms. Good. Let's inhale to reverse. Opening up into a side angle form onto the thigh. Good. So we'll be needing this openness through the hip. So just imprinting that if you have a tendency to collapse here, reaching the knee over the toe, back like nice and strong, starting to stack the hips. Getting a sense that you're pushing the hips forward. Take another breath here. Nice long neck. And inhale, let's come up, reverse triangle, more space to the side. And as you exhale, staying in one line, to come into triangle. Good. So if you've been practicing yoga for a while, this is not going to feel like a balancing posture, but I think it very much is. We're standing on one line. We're leaning back, getting a sense we're sandwiched between two planes of glass. If you want to reach your arm up, get the arms in one line as well. Take another breath in. Exhale, arms come back down towards the floor, downward facing dog. If you're practicing at home, you want to take a vinyasa in between, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to stay here in a downward facing dog. And then we're going to move to the other side. So this time I'm going to lift my left foot up. Again, standing leg can be bent, and the back of my left knee is nice and open. So really straightening the knee here, just so we have some stability. Toes pointing down, hips square, and from there I'm going to get a little bit lighter on my right fingertips. See what that means. I need to shift my weight more into the left hand, and then maybe the right arm can start to reach up. Oops. And if you wobble, wiggle, right foot is working, left hand is working. Take another breath in. Exhale, left hand grounds. I'm going to step my left foot through, warrior two, second side, windmilling, opening. Good, I'm going to turn around. So I'm going to face you. And then we're going to lean back, reverse. And as you exhale into your side angle pose, any variation of your choice, I'm going to stay with form onto the thigh here. And then really working, we're going to need that in a moment when we do Vishnu's couch, which is posture closer towards the floor, but we need to move the hips forward to balance, maybe reaching the right fingertips beyond the crown of the head. On your next inhale, press into the back foot to come up, reverse triangle, lean back. Exhale, reaching the left fingertips forward to find your triangle shape. And again, you're sandwiched, you're just like a wall, one brick wall, one brick stacked on top of one another, which can be stable, but of course it's less stable than, a corner, for example. So finding the balance here, spreading, stacking, and then inhale to come up. Exhale, moving through a vinyasa if you like. Otherwise, just coming into a downward facing dog. I'm going to switch sides. Good. And let's come onto our bellies. So we're going to do that, which I just talked about before. Vishnu's couch or Anantasana. So that means I'm going to lie here in one line from my elbow to my shoulder to my hip to my feet. I'm pressing my inner thighs together. Left hand's there for support. We're going to basically come into the position of triangle pose with the legs. I'm going to lift the left foot up, first with the toes pointing down, and at some point our hip anatomically doesn't like to go any further in this position. But when we bring the foot a little bit further forward and externally rotate it, we start to gain much more range of motion. And to keep the balance here, I need to push my hip forward and reach the foot up towards the ceiling. We're going to keep it active here. No need to hold on to the foot, which is balance-wise also a little bit trickier. Keep on reaching. Hip presses forward. Also my bottom foot, big toe ball mat reaches away. My right elbow reaches away. And then you can slowly lower the foot back down. I'm just going to show it from the back. And swing over to the other side. Again, elbow, shoulder, hips, legs all stacked in one line. Good. Taking a moment, pressing the inner thighs together. And then you can start to lift the leg. You're going to lift with the toe facing forward. And at some point, my hip doesn't really want to go further, but if I bring the leg a little bit further forward and externally rotate it, there's all of a sudden much more room. Good. This foot wants to keep on climbing, reaching out through the inner lines of the leg, pushing my hip forward, reaching out through the bottom leg, left elbow. Take another breath in. And as you exhale, slowly lowering it down. Let's come onto our bellies. Let's take a Shalabhasana for a moment. Interlacing the hands behind the back. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Inhale to lift the heart. Exhale, maybe lifting through the legs. And then lengthening out through the bones. Become longer, lighter, brighter, both sides of the body. Lifting equally. And then exhale, hands ground. Let's press back. Downward facing dog. Good, beautiful. Let's come up to standing. So take as many steps as you need. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. You can just dangle here. We're going to need our big toe bind in just a moment. So if you want to take your peace fingers around your big toes, I like feet hip width distance apart or even a little bit wider. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding into Padangusthasana, elbows out to the side, and then wrapping them around. And you gotta let the head go. And I always imagine that my shoulders are like getting pulled up through a reverse waterfall from my lower traps. So then my neck stays nice and long, and my shoulders also stay nice and relaxed. Take another breath in. Your knees don't have to fully straighten. And out. Good. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands on hips. And then let's come all the way up. Good. Wonderful. Release. And let's actually, I said we don't need any props, but you might want a strap for this. I have straps lying around in my house. So I'm just gonna get one. And you might not need it. So let's first start with tree pose. I'm gonna come off of this yoga mat because it feels a little bit wobbly. Starting again with your favorite leg, standing leg, finding your tree pose. So now we've moved quite a bit, but on the other hand, we've also worked quite a bit on our balance. So seeing how your tree pose feels like now, maybe with your foot down, maybe with your foot higher up, doesn't really matter. And same thing like in Anantasana, this knee reaches away, getting a sense that your hips are moving forward and you're reaching out through your standing leg, which was the bottom leg, and maybe you're reaching your arms up towards the sky. Good. And then you can slowly release it, switch sides, shifting the weight into the other leg. Take a moment here to really grow roots so that, you know, the roots are not going to uproot a tree unless it's a crazy hurricane with some wind, some waving. The roots can hold the tree trunk. So thinking of balance as something that's fluid as opposed to I can't move here. It's all about how can I move, how far can I move without losing that balance. Again, the knee reaches away, hips pressing forward. Maybe the arm starts to lift. Good. One more breath here to elongate everything. Maybe tailbone drops. And then exhale, release. Good. Let's go into Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, extended hand to toe pose. And we're going to go back into that grip that we just did on the floor in our forward fold piece. Fingers are going to wrap to the inside of the big toe and the second toe, and you're going to grab hold of the big toe. If that feels too far away, you can always use a strap. Just lassoing your foot that's going to be in the air. And I recommend grabbing the strap in a way that your knee can be semi-extended. So you need to lock the knee, but it's nice and long. And you can also extend the arm so you don't have to hold on. At the same time, the shoulder pulls back to create a sense of resistance. Okay. Hand can be onto the hip of the standing leg. Wonderful. And then if you like, you can start to open the leg out to the side. And we only open the leg out to the side until you feel, you know, your hip doesn't move with, there's a sense of stability. And again, we were doing in Anantasana, if the leg moves out to the side, the hip most of the time doesn't comply. So moving it slightly to the front and externally rotating is going to help with the range. Maybe looking to the side. And then let's come back and then activity for a moment for 3, 2, 1. And then slowly release. Good, shake it out. We're going to go into the other side. Shifting the weight into your other leg. And again, finding the right length of the strap. Of course, the higher the foot comes, the more you might feel in the back of the leg. Today, it doesn't have to be about how high the leg goes, but how solid can I feel? In balance, there's also a lot of opposing directions that come together. So this foot wants to reach away. The shoulder wants to pull back. The thigh bone wants to pull in. And my spine wants to grow. From there, maybe opening the leg out to the side only until you can feel, oh, this is how far my hip wants to go. Maybe the gaze goes towards the left. And if there's a wobbling, shaking, you can always do this closer to a wall. Good, let's slowly come back. And then plugging that thigh bone in a little bit more so you can balance for 3, 2, and 1. Good. Shake it out. We'll go towards the floor and play with some more other balances that maybe prepare you for forearm balances in the future. You can just come towards the floor, or you can take a sun salutation down, forward folding, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, grounding through the hands. If you want to take it through a vinyasa, go ahead. I'm going to go through a modified one. Inhale to open the heart. And exhale. Let's move into child's pose for a moment. Remembering that sense of solidity. I'm going to turn my palms up. Wonderful. Good. We're going to play with some dolphin pose balances. So we've lifted our leg and arm both in bird dog, on hands and knees, as well as downward facing dog. So this is a continuation of that. We're just going to first check in with our dolphin pose with the forearms parallel towards one another. Since we have our strap, let's grab that for a moment. We're going to grab the strap shoulder wide and then bring the arms up and think about breaking the strap. So imagine the strap was a piece of wood and I could just break it this way. So that's what I'm trying to do, to wrap the outer fists towards you, outer armpits roll towards one another. At the same time, I want to reach the arm back, really engaging those external rotators. If you have a tendency to open through the ribs, soften through them. Take another 3. Keep breathing. 2 and 1. Good. Release. We need a lot of that activation to keep our elbows somewhat parallel, or our forearms parallel in dolphin. We're going to start off with a block, and we're going to hold the block so that the thumb and index finger are holding the block like an L shape. And then bringing the elbows a little bit closer together. Sometimes you can measure like this. Also, sometimes it's good to check in the mirror, like how wide are my shoulders exactly, because sometimes we have shorter arms, wider shoulders. So moving the elbows in a way so that they're underneath the shoulders. Then you can tuck the toes under, pressing down through your index finger and thumb, especially so you get that internal rotation through the lower arm, external rotation through the upper arm. And then you can start to lift the hips up and back. You don't have to straighten the legs fully. Keep on pressing, finding that position, index finger and thumb pressing, outer armpits rolling in, heart reaches back. You can let your head hang for a moment. Make sure your head is not on the floor. You can really reaching out through your shoulder blades. Trying to make your arms a little bit longer. Take another breath in. And as you exhale, lowering down. You can always sit on your heels or sit up on a block in between the legs, or 2 or 3, or meditation cushion. Good. And you can watch me for a second while we do the second step, which is basically a 3-legged downward facing dog, 3-legged dolphin. So setting the hands back up. If the block was useful, keep on using it. Again, coming back up, and then right toes pointing down. And if you have a tendency again to open the hips, see if you can really find this, because this is going to help you in squaring the hips later on. Keep on pressing index finger and thumb into the floor as your arms grow. Take another breath in. Good. And then you can join me if you like, one leg at a time, pointing the toes down. Maybe you need to just work on the stamina of pressing the forearms down. Maybe the leg is lower, maybe your standing leg is bent, not a problem. Just finding balance and also working on the stamina here on your forearms. Once you're done, come back onto sitting on your knees or on a block. So noticing that this is a half inversion or semi-inversions now that we're lifting one leg up. The hip is on top of our heart. And so that will also have an effect. And balancing upside down, of course, is a little bit trickier than balancing in the orientation that we're used to being in the world. You can try one more variation. We're going to go more into balancing. So again, setting up the hands, the elbows, tucking the toes under. First step, dolphin. You can stay here. Second step, you can walk your left hand back so it's more in a chaturanga position. And I'm going to ground my left foot And maybe reach the right leg up. Good. You can stay here if you feel super good. You can come onto your fingertips, again, keeping the hips square. And then maybe you balance, reaching the left arm alongside the hip. This is just a progression. Coming back, resting, releasing through the shoulders. And if you're still with me, you can try the other side. Coming back into a dolphin position. You can already pull the right hand back next to your waist. And then press up. Again, still pressing into the index finger and your thumb. Good. This time, pressing the right foot into the floor so the left leg can lift. Finding your balance here. If you feel good, coming onto your fingertips. I recommend this in-between step, and then your body can start to adjust. Maybe releasing the arm alongside the body. Wonderful. Again, trial and error. If you fall, it's part of life. Just coming back, trying, and letting the body figure out the joy in experimenting with all of that. Wonderful. Good. Let's come on to our backs. So you can take a block with you. You can roll down. If you like, you can take your time. And we're just going to place the feet hip width. And let's massage the spine up and down. And just noticing that you're now on your back. And the nervous system is like, wow, I don't have to balance anymore. Balancing, of course, is connected to a sense of danger. You know, if you're balancing on a log and you could fall into water, you know, that's dangerous. So just allowing the nervous system to calm back down, feeling the solidity of the ground underneath you. Next time the hips are up, you can place the block underneath your hips at any height you desire to. Maybe the lowest feels good, maybe the highest. I'm going to go for the second. Just to give a passive, soft inversion. Hips again are slightly higher than the heart, but this time I don't have to balance or hold my weight up in any way. Everything's being done for me. Allowing the breath to move into the belly. Great. And then you can slowly press your feet into the floor to lift the hips up. I'm just going to go into Supta Baddha Konasana for a moment. Soles of the feet together, knees apart. Or maybe you prefer a twist or happy baby pose. Something for your body to now notice that it can slowly release. And then from here, if you were in Supta Baddha Konasana, you can use your hands to bring the knees together. Come into quick Shavasana. And whenever we're learning something new, whether it's in our flexibility, balance, strength, some skill, it's good to rest for a moment. Our mind likes to read up on techniques, how-to tutorials. learning to know how things work. And although a lot of the things we do in yoga have some technique aspect, a lot of it is also just trial and error, because our bodies are unique. And you're the only person who can master your body in whatever capacity that you want to, can, or willing to. So then letting the body digest the new information, the input you gave. And allowing the process of computation, which is far too complex for science to understand at this point. And giving it back to the body. And if you're at home and you would like to stay on your back, feel free to do so. I'm going to slowly come back, bend the knees, roll over onto one side. And I'm going to slowly sit up to close the space. My head comes up last. And I thank you for exploring your balance with me in this process of trial and error. And I hope you can carry that balance into your life and any new endeavors you're attempting. Thank you so much.